Sorry about that. I always start these and I've got my nose in my coffee cup and I'm drinking coffee, so I figured I'd play Kilroy and, you know, not start off with the coffee cup in front of me. So, anyway, oops. How's your Monday going? You can see how mine's going. Oh man. So it's important to understand the dynamic. We were talking about this when got into a conversation with one of our student colleagues about the conflict that we were talking about. And the dynamic of resistance breeds resistance, meaning the harder one pushes, the return force is equal or greater, right? And we notice this in communication when people start elevating the volume of their voice and the other person is has to bring their volume up. And then the next thing you know, you're yelling at each other. That's a perfect example of resistance breeds resistance. You want to throw somebody off when you're kind of having a discussion, argument, is to say, you may be right. Tell me more about that. So what it does is it takes all that energy that could have been negative and it releases it. And then they're like, okay. And then they share their perspective. And then you can say, a lot of that makes sense. Now, if you have an issue with part of it, you could say, help me understand how you get around that, or how do you handle this? And then you pose your concern. Because oftentimes, in the beginning, you've got that resistance breeds resistance, you're butting heads. But if you stop and say, well, you know what, you may be right, that kind of removes that roadblock, and they're like, wait a second, I can't have conflict because they're not opposing me. So it takes that away and it kind of disarms people. And when you show thoughtfully, you may be right. Tell me more about that. That gives them now an opportunity to kind of explain their perspective that you may not have taken the time to, right? Listen to. That's an upcoming episode. And then you're really able to hear and understand what their thoughts are around that, and some of which you probably will agree with. And then there may be some that you may not agree with, but you have a reason for not agreeing with it. And it's an issue. So that's when I come up with I've got the issue in my head, so I put it out there in terms of, well, then how do you deal with this? I like what you're saying. Help me understand how you would deal with this, and then say your concern. Then it's not an argument anymore. Now it becomes a discussion, and we both benefit from discussions. So I've kind of expanded a little bit on the topic of conflict, but I'm calling this one resistance breeds resistance and how to avoid that. It comes off. Sometimes you can just feel the energy when somebody's resisting. And as long as you stop and say, hey, what's going on for you right now? What's going through your mind? Share it with me, because I want to make sure that you're in a good place, right? As a positive leader, I want my people to be in a positive place, because that's going to make them more productive, more creative, more innovative. There are a huge amount of benefits to this. So be that positive leader. If you do have a situation where resistance is present, invite it in and say, tell me more about that. You might be right. Or I could kind of see that, I can kind of see part of what you're saying. All right, good. Again, hey, if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to say, make sure you put them down below in the comment area, like and share, so that other people can benefit from this information. And have a lovely week. See you next Monday. Oh, it never gets old.